there! It's me, Veronica Drake, but most people call me V. This is One Subtle Shift, the podcast that helps you change your life without flipping it upside down. Because here's the truth, it's not the big dramatic moves that create lasting transformation, it's the tiny sacred pivots that we make in everyday moments. Each week, I'll drop in with soul nudging insight, plus a little bit of humor, a little bit of sass, and a whole lot of heart. Oh, and I may be bringing some of my friends with me. Today's shift might just be what you need to change everything. Let's dive in. Hey there, beautiful soul. Welcome back to One Subtle Shift, where we explore the small but mighty shifts that bring you back to yourself. I'm your host, Veronica Drake, but you can call me V. And today's shift, it's one that could change everything about how you move through the world and how the world sees you. So let me give you a short little story here. Many, many years ago, when I worked in the nonprofit world, we had to network. And we had to go to these things they used to call mixers. Maybe they still do, I don't know. But basically, we were meeting potential new clients, right? And I would always have this hesitation when I would go to these things because I always felt like, who do I need to be? How do I need to show up in order to get people to kind of relate to me, connect with me, and ultimately, let's just be honest. How do I get people to buy from me? Right? Isn't that what we're about, business owners? So in my personal life, it was all about how can I show up so that I'm under the radar, that nobody sees me because I was bullied as a child. So in both of those instances, I was performing and it wasn't authentically me. And I've realized over time that I had made the subtle shift or shifts that were needed to go from performing who I thought I should be to responding from a place of who I was. So many women, and men too, have been taught to perform, right? To anticipate the needs of others, to read the room, smooth things over, be the peacekeeper, be the fixer, be the motivator, be the good girl, be the strong one. That was a big one for me. We've become so good at playing the role that we forgot that we're allowed to just be. Let that soak in. Let me ask you something. When you walk in a room, do you ever scan for what energy do I need to be in right now? We call it reading the room. And there's two different versions of this. You can read the room as a psychic, aka intuitive, and get a feel for the vibe, or perhaps you're reading the room to see who you need to become. You need to say, how should I show up in there? Now, let me put a little preface here. There is something to be said for being chameleon-like in a healthy, genuine way. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But do you find yourself tailoring your truths, your beliefs to keep people comfortable, to keep the peace, to feel like you want to fit in? I guess the other way of saying this is, do you play small? That, my friend, is your performance. But there's another way. Instead of asking the question, how should I show up? What if you asked, what's real for me right now? What's the truth right now? And how can I honor that? Whether you're going into a business meeting or you're going to a family gathering or you're going to a retreat, instead of asking, how do I show up? Who do I need to be? Ask, what's real for me right now? And how can I honor that? That tiny, powerful pivot takes you out of the performance and drops you into presence. Here's the thing. When you are performing, the ultimate goal is approval. When you are in the energy of presence, this honors truth. Feel the difference. Approval, truth. I get this feeling in my heart. Notice in your body, approval kind of feels like a heavy, constricts me kind of way. Truth, it's just, right away I see big wings opening up off my heart. When you start choosing choice, even quietly and in small decisions, you begin the journey back home to self. This isn't about swinging from one extreme to the other. It's not about blowing up your life or announcing, I'm done with people pleasing forever. I'm done being the fixer. No, that, my friend, is still a performance. Who are you assuring that you're done with it? Think about it. Keeping it to yourself, keeping it internal. This is about noticing. Noticing when you leave yourself, when you abandon yourself, and noticing when you are true to yourself, when you are gently returning to your divine self. I used to say yes to things that I didn't want to do because I didn't want to disappoint people. What were people going to think of me? And here's a really vulnerable story. I don't come from wealth by any means, but my grandparents lived in the Depression era, and they were very thrifty with their money. As a result, my grandfather, who worked a very blue-collar job, worked very hard, amassed quite a bit of money. He also was an antique dealer. So I guess you could say they had money. Well, they had more money than I had. And as a young married person with an infant and my husband making very minimal and me not working, I would often find myself jumping through the hoops of my grandparents to get some money, whether it was we're buying a new house or we're getting a new refrigerator or a vacuum cleaner. They would lay the breadcrumbs and I would take them. I would follow them, which ultimately at the end of the breadcrumbs became a hoop for me to jump through, became one less piece of who I really was. I didn't know I was doing that. I couldn't see it. It was just in the, this is who I am, right? I saw there was a means I wanted and needed, and I saw the way to it was there. I would just justify it by, this isn't a big deal. And every time I ignored my don't do this, you're performing. I didn't use the word performing, but I knew that something felt off. It didn't feel right to me. Over time, I began to see that scenario play out in different areas of my life. And I started asking the question, what's true for me right now? If I eat this breadcrumb, if I follow this breadcrumb, what's true for me right now? Sometimes the answer was, I'm nervous, I'm scared. You know, we all have different truths, and they will all reveal themselves to us. They're not hidden. They're just underneath all the noise. They're under the performance. Like when a Broadway actor leaves the stage and takes off the costume, takes off the persona. This is what it's time for us to do. This is where these one subtle shifts come in. Today, I want to offer you one simple invitation. When you catch yourself wondering, how should I show up? What is this event going to request of me? Take a breath, take a pause, and ask, what's real for me now? What's true for me now? And how can I honor that? I'm even doing this in my business. Everybody's telling you, go this way, do this is the way, this is how. And it doesn't feel like it's true for me. And I'm figuring out ways to honor that. I'm also figuring out ways to honor that in my personal life, going through a lot of stuff, family, and just asking, what's true for me? This is the shift from performing to responding, from approval to authenticity, from leaving home to returning home. Now listen, back in the day, I used to overhaul my life in one fell swoop, like, gotta get it done now. You don't need to do that. That's why I named this podcast One Subtle Shift. You just need to catch the moment that you abandon yourself, your version of home, your truth, and then gently come back. Take a minute, maybe listen to this podcast a couple of times, and share it. Maybe you're sharing it with somebody who needs it. Maybe you're sharing it with family so that they can know that one subtle shift is going to be happening for you. So I want to thank you for being here, for doing this work. I promise you, every subtle shift matters. Every time you choose to be present over performing, you shift the collective. Yes, you have a big role. I will be back next Thursday with another gentle nudge on your path back home. Hey, friend, what landed for you today? If you're feeling that subtle nudge, go ahead and honor it. Try the practice. Ask the question. Sit with the shift. And if you loved this episode, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the world. Leave a review. Or better yet, message me and tell me what shifted for you. You were never meant to do this alone. Until next time, keep trusting that quiet knowing. It's leading you home.